So, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be doing a little bit of an interview with one of our fellow Centaurs, Vladan. He's an engineering manager at Sentry. And we decided to do a little bit of a spin on it. And maybe many of you are familiar with a famous YouTube series called Hot Ones, where they also interview celebrities, but they spice things up by doing it with hot sauces. And so we purchased these hot sauces from the last season. And for each hot sauce, we have a hot wing and a question. All right, so we're going to go through, and the hot sauces range from what you might find in your pantry at home to what you'd find in, like, let's say, a craft beer style fancy hot sauces, all the way to what's probably going to be miserable for everyone involved. And from there, we'll proceed. Vladan, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know how happy you're here to be, here, but we're glad that you are. And yeah, we'll start off with the first question. So you go left to right, and we'll start from there.
So taking a bite.
Yeah. So Vladan, you have a kind of an interesting background before you got into tech, growing up in Serbia, working in construction, and then finally getting into tech in the end, also living in different places around the world. I thought maybe you could just take a chance to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. So I started working when I was around 9 years of age, so like I was quite young. So I was going into elementary school, and after elementary school I would go help my parents because they had a construction company back then. So I was the one helping them, do the stuff, and they were forcing me to, be the one do things. And but like this is an interesting moment in time for myself, because this is one of the, like, not really when I was 9 years old, but maybe I was 13, 14. Like I was still doing it with them, but it was like one of the first, let's say, like moment in my life when I started managing people, because we were like, 30 people back then, and yes, I was a kid, but I was, like a daddy's kid.
So you were like managing people at 9?
No, not really managing, but like I could say things and they would listen. Like, and back then it was like, oh yeah, like, like this guy is doing something because he's a son of a boss, and like so. Yeah, but it's Serbia back then, and like it was very different. So, but like long story forward, so I was in construction business until I was 25 years old. So meanwhile, I inherited the company from my parents. I became like a manager, like a CTO and then CEO of that company. I mean, titles sound crazy, like something very fancy. Like it was a small.
You're a pretty fancy guy. It makes sense.
I am. That's who I am. So yeah, title sounds fancy, as I said, but like it was quite a small company with a couple of folks, and yeah, it was doing very well until everything crashed around. I think it was 2010, 11, something like that. And then I moved, started working as a regular work in Russia because we went to declare bankruptcy. And I went to, become a construction worker myself. So I worked in Russia for 6 months. Then I moved to Austria, I worked here for 6 months. And I was like, okay, like this is definitely not the thing I want to do in my life. I want to do something different. And by the way, like all the time I was like a computer guy, so I would automate things, I would prepare things, I would like make all these hacky Excel things and share with everybody and like manage things there. And yeah, I think it was 2015 when I was basically, I had to choose, okay, like what do I want to be? Like, do I want to continue being this guy and like just go into construction and be more into constructions, or maybe start doing something else, something that I like more? Fun fact there is that while I was doing construction work in Russia, I met a girl that I fell in love with, and everything was very nice. So, but I had to leave her there. So I moved to Austria, continued working construction site here in Austria, and I was like, okay, I want to go back to Russia. I want to go back to Moscow. But to go back to Moscow, I need to find a job, right? And I was like, okay, do I really want to continue this job there? Because what's the alternative? I'm not really proficient in anything else. So. And yeah, I was like, okay, let's create 2 CVs. One is for like a very junior developer. One was for very skilled and experienced construction
And both
worker.
of them were totally honest, top to bottom, right?
Of course. As
no exaggerations. Don't do that. We don't do that.
As every CV is. So yeah, I sent both CVs, and yeah, like it helped me land my first job as an engineer, like very junior engineer, and that's how it all started.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Great. But then, thank you, and then we'll move on to the next wing.
Yeah.
This will be a little bit hotter, but I think it's still enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then maybe since you had this kind of two different careers in your life, and you can say, do you see that there's some parallels between your time as a construction worker, like also working as a manager, and now your time working as an engineering manager? Like, are there skills that you take away from that you can still apply for what you're doing today at Sentry?
I mean, most of the things that I do today, and actually most of the things that I learned back then, when I look now, like in hindsight, in retrospective, like, this helped me a lot to understand and to learn like what are the things I shouldn't be doing. So,
Okay.
Because like I was also dealing in construction work. Like, I mean, construction line of work is very different from like an office work, and people there treat employees in a very different, not to say rude way. So I wasn't the one treating people rudely, of course, but I was the one who was treated rudely, and I kind of felt on my own skin how it feels when it's done wrong. So. And it helped me a lot to try to incorporate this into my learnings, not to become one of the people that I didn't like. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's why you're always so polite in the office every day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and good antidepressants. No, I'm joking there.
Cool.
But yeah, that's basically what.
Cool. So I mean, generally, like working with people, it's not that different from one industry to the next. Like, there's definitely some differences based on like skill sets and whatnot, but just being good to people is the lesson learned, let's say.
I mean, it is being good to people and finding right environment for right people. You know, like it's, I don't know, like often think about, like flowers and soil. Like you can put the most beautiful flower in the wrong soil, like, and it can grow up in a normal flower only by miracle or like, out of accident. But like if you put a normal flower in a soil that's like made for that flower, you multiply the chances of having like a healthy flower in the end, right? Same with people. So if you provide the right environment, chances are these people will grow. But on the contrary, like if you bring the most skilled engineers in a very toxic environment, chances are they won't thrill.
Well, Vladan, I think I know what your next career is, and it's being a poet, because that was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and we can move on to the next swing.
Okay.
When you're ready.
I am not, but okay.
And so you're kind of someone then that's bootstrapped themselves up, and you did things kind of all on your own, took charge. Maybe you would have some advice for someone else, whether they're already in the tech industry, or maybe they're in school, or they want to skip school. Like, how would you give them advice on how to do it?
Am I ready?
Beautiful.
As always. So I think the different advices would apply to different stages of your career. Like if you're someone who just wants to, enter this world and you think that you're, like we're too smart for you or you're not smart enough for us, like just do it, But I've seen many times that people are very afraid to enter this industry because they believe themselves that they are not worth it, right?
And even not the industry, like sometimes it's specific companies. Like people, there's always this talk about like the big fancy tech companies or these kind of FANG companies, and they think, oh, I'm not good enough to go there. And it's like the people who work there are also just regular people. Yeah. They're just dedicated, hardworking, whatever it might be, and anybody can be that.
I think it's about the effort, Steven. Like it's like think about it. Like, if you put it in any other, like if you apply this in any other thing in your life, like. It doesn't have to be job, it can be relationship, it can be anything. Like if you don't put work into it, it won't work, right? So like if you want to go somewhere, like I don't know, like if you simplify it a lot, like if you want to sit in a car and I don't know, drive to another city, like you need to go downstairs, like make an initiative, sit in a car, pump the gas, and actually drive it,
Yeah.
And many people are not willing to take this initiative. Many people are just thinking about, okay, like I see a different city, but like I don't know how to get there. And even when you tell them the steps how to get there, they think it's too much. So sometimes, people are just not doing these things.
No, cool. Then thank you, and we'll move on to the next swing.
Yeah.
I think this is still going to be in your comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Fine.
Cool. Let's go for it.
And then on that note, maybe since what you mentioned is a lot like people so concerned with all the steps coming down the road that they're just afraid to make the first few steps, right?
Exactly.
So would you have like some tangible first items you should do?
Yes. I mean, well, you said it very well. So I think that people are too obsessed with goals that they don't think about the process, and they don't think about first steps. And like oftentimes, all you need is first step, because the next step is, you know, like kind of self-revealing it afterwards, and it's much easier to take a second step after you took the first one, right? So, I mean, you cannot jump 10 steps ahead, so you can just go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up to 10. So many people are afraid to take this first one because they think that, you know, the rest seems quite ambiguous. But, you know, yeah, if you're one of these people, just take the first step, and you will see that, you know, the second step is, you know, revealing itself once you're there.
All right, then thank you, Vladan. And with that, we'll move on to level number 5. Hot sauce. And
Okay.
the next question.
So it's that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Then, so your role as an engineering manager, we've talked a lot about giving people advice and working with them and managing teams. So this one pumped up a little bit there. I can feel it on your
It's
face.
awful.
But so you're managing actually the web platform team. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about the web platform, changes that happen on the team, what current projects you're working on, and maybe some of the things you might be working on in the future. You can take your time, enjoy some
Yes.
water. It's okay.
Just a little bit. So, web platform team. So, I'm actually, yeah. So, let's first talk to people what web platform team is. So, what the web platform team is actually like we maintain and develop all SDKs for the Sentry, all web SDKs for Sentry, and like all front end or back end. Screw it. All front end or back end SDKs.
There's really the hot sauce on the wings, just so
Yeah,
everybody knows
so,
we're not.
so people don't think we're faking it. Yeah, because we take them out. Okay, I'll explain this from the beginning. So, web team, great team. So, web team is split into three smaller teams, and with 9 people together, like all together across all 3 teams. So we have front-end team, which is basically developing all SDKs for JavaScript. We have backend team developing all SDKs for Python, Ruby, Go, and like so with other backend languages.
It's all the server side stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to speak with this mouth. And because I feel my tongue is like
Tingling and yeah.
like my dentist would love these things.
The torture?
Yeah,
The dentist likes to torture? Yeah, I got you.
torture and anesthesia, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Numbness, yeah, that's the word. So, yeah, as I said, we develop all SDKs for. The thing is, it's on the tip of my tongue. Like, whenever I'm trying to pronounce any word, like, I'm touching the tip of my tongue. And it's, okay.
But so you're working on the web platform SDKs. So
Yes.
you can imagine that's a pretty generic concept. It's just anything that you could use for web development.
Yeah.
A huge part of that. So like the web front end team, for example, it's basically the JavaScript team.
It is
Right, they do
basically
Node
JavaScript.
and the browser SDK.
Yes.
Anything that would go on there, all the frameworks like
True that.
the React,
true that.
Angular.
And we also done some very cool stuff. Like, for example, for JavaScript, we recently like stripped down more than 20% of bundle size. Like on the backend team, we released session tracking for Ruby. We also improved session tracking for Python. While the foundation part of the team, which is also part of the Umbrella Web SDK, is currently working on a new Sentry CLI version V2. So like, you know, there are different bits and pieces going there, but like, you know, if you collect this all together, it's all one, you know, like umbrella of web and things that are supporting web. Yeah.
And you also do some stuff with like serverless, which is a little bit in a different realm, but
Yeah.
it's also with those same SDKs.
Yes.
And that's maybe some like future projects as well. Like we still have it, but all these enhancements and the next steps, right?
Exactly. You said it better than I would now with my numb thumb. So, yeah, like what we're doing at the moment, we're trying to, you know, like lead our space and better monitoring a little bit more when it comes to AWS and like generally serverless. So the backend part of the team is also working on some initiatives there.
Cool. Thank you. So
Thank you.
now we're gonna move on to the next. So we got level number 6. I saw how much you enjoyed this one, so I hope you enjoyed this one just as much. This is where I start to enjoy it more, as I
Yeah.
see the pain and you build
But
up.
like, which one is number 6?
This one
Left or
here.
right?
This
Left.
one, yeah. So
Are you sure?
like, yeah,
Yeah.
positive.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm asking you all these questions, but I talk to you every day, so I get to see in person that you're doing a ton of work on setting up working processes. It's a pleasure to work with you, Vladan. No, so I see how much time you put into setting up working processes, thinking about Agile, adapting it to the team that we have, using tools like Jira and GitHub and triaging and everything that the team does. But I also see how much time you put into planning, like working on developing the individuals on the team.
Yeah.
So maybe you can give some insight into like how important that is to you in your role to simply work with those people and develop them.
Yes. So it's okay. Let's start from like what I want from this team. Like I want like in a year from now, as I am today, to be proud of this team. You know, and like there are different activities that you have to do to remain proud of your team. So like if you're today proud, like it's one thing, but like can you be proud in 1 year if nothing changes? Probably not, right? So you want to help people grow, but you also want to grow people. So it's not always on them. So you need to be the one who facilitates their growth. You need to be one who tries to, you know, find what's important for them, find what's important for the company, and try to manage these things together. So this is one part of it. Second part of it is also trying to find, you know, figures, people in the company and in the industry who can inspire our engineers, so our engineers can look for them and grow, right? So these are some of the things. Also, as I said previously, like providing like a safe environment for learning, providing a safe environment, and not just safe, providing a right, useful environment for people to strive.
And sometimes it's also like challenging, right?
Exactly.
So it's about making sure that people get the right challenge. Like it's nice if everything is safe all the time, but you also want to like push people to do things like they haven't learned before.
That's the thing. Like if something is safe, it doesn't mean it's not challenging, right?
Yeah.
So you can keep people in a safe environment while giving them challenges. So and it's definitely you said it very rightfully. It has to be challenging because otherwise it very easily gets boring.
Cool. Thank you. It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Only going to get better. So now we move on to the next level of hot sauces. I think this one is still tasty though. You're gonna enjoy it. So it's this hot wing, and we'll go on to the next question.
Oh yeah.
So
The thing is, you shouldn't smell it, man. Once you smell it, it's
we could build that in. That's part of the process. You get a good sniff, and then you get a bite. But so you're spending a lot of time as well in like posting job ads and interviewing and trying to find the next people to join Sentry, not just in your team, but also in other teams. And I was wondering, like, as you were talking about developing people and finding what their biggest interests are and where their skill sets are, how do you balance out in an interview process, like hard skills and soft skills? Like how technically gifted someone might be, or like how much knowledge they have versus just how good of a fit would they be at Sentry?
They don't have to be gifted at all. So they need to.
That's how I got hired.
No, you're not gifted, Steven. It's just your perception of yourself. So, no, they don't really need to be gifted. What they do need to bring is like eagerness to learn and eagerness to become someone who is really good at that job, right? So it's okay if you're not that person from the day one. Like most of us are. Like I wasn't for sure. But it's important to bring that willingness and that mindset, you know, that you want to grow. Mindset that, okay, like this is what you want to be, this is what you want to do, and this is where you want to be in 5 years. So it also helps us understand whether we are the best place for you, right? We also had candidates where we would literally tell them, like, look, this is not the best environment for you. You know, because like sometimes people are asking for things that we cannot provide. Sometimes we ask people for things that they cannot provide. It's important that match works on both sides. I always ask people to, you know, interview me as well. Although it's like their interviews, but like I ask them, okay, like let's turn the tables around, ask me some questions, because it's important to make sure that this is the place where they want to be, right?
Yeah, and I really like that. It's like people always talk like about sometimes different jobs will have long interview processes with many different stages and types of interviews. But I always kind of think this is a really good opportunity for the other person to find out if that company, or Sentry in this case, is the right fit for them. Exactly. That's just as important. Like if we want people to be happy here, we need to make sure that it's the right choice for them, not just the right choice for us.
Exactly. I mean, it's a big choice. Like think of it, like if you think that, you know, like person on average will spend like 7-8 hours with these people in the office. You know, like I'm talking.
I have a
it doesn't
very
have-
strong memory of all the hours I spend with Vladan. I know,
yeah.
I know.
I mean, it can be in the office, it can be remote, but like you're interacting with people like or 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
Right? So like, and if you don't enjoy working with these people 7 or 8 hours a day, like the work itself becomes way less enjoyable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the less enjoyable it is, the more miserable you are. So you will start looking for a change, and that's why it's crucial for me to make sure that it's not only a good candidate for us,
Mhm.
but also that Sentry is a good candidate for these people, right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then, the next question that I have for you is going to be even hotter sauce, of course. And if I'm remembering the order, you're not going to like this. I'm just going to prep you.
Did anyone
You're
ever
gonna-
like that one?
No.
No.
But that's okay. You're going to love the question. It gets a little bit spicier as well.
Is it a question spicy or? Oh yeah.
It's a good question. It's a terrible sauce. It's a good thing to give your enemy.
Man, like you should have just told me it's a nice sauce. Okay?
It's not. I want to be honest with you. So, but the next question is not an invitation for you to say any terrible stories, but as you mentioned, like how important it is to have like a good work environment. What about outside of work? Like also we spend a lot of time sometimes after office, like we'll have all hands meetings and presentations, and we'll go out for dinner or drinks or whatever. How important do you think it is that we have fun at work with the people we work with?
Just give me a second.
Why did I take such a big bite?
I don't
so
know why
dumb.
it could be, but this one is like it's better. It's like it's oh.
So the question here is just about how important is it to have fun at work and after, like with the people you work with, like just having fun. That's the question.
It's
Oh, man, I was not like taking it easy today on the sauces when I was putting this on. I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a bit easy, but yeah. Okay. So to answer your question, Steven, first of all, thank you for asking this. It's one of my favorite topics because I really love spending time with people. So first of all, like if you remember the previous question, it is crucial to find people that are a very good fit. And if you can make this happen, and once this is there, it is way easier to do some nice events with these people. Like, I don't know, you can go bowling or you can go drink, you can go for a dinner or whatever. As a matter of fact, today we are going for a dinner.
I know. I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
This is also like one of these beautiful things that we are doing. So it is super important to have this opportunity to do these cool things at work with people who actually, when I think about it, it's a very nice situation to be because like you literally choose people in onboarding process who are gonna be your friends when you're interviewing them.
Yeah, that's a cool way to think about it.
So,
That's nice.
So it's like it's Tinder for friends. How would you call it?
We're not gonna call it that, but we are gonna move on to the next hot sauce. Thank you.
So cut this out.
So now we're moving on to what I believe is called Hellfire, and it's not as bad as that one. So that's like the end of like the awful
It's
pain
hard-
in my
it's hard
opinion,
to
but it's
be
definitely
worse.
hotter. So that's this swing right here, good sir.
Okay.
And with that one, so lately I've been reading more about this concept called learning in public. And this is essentially just like whenever you're learning a new skill, that you try to do as much as you can in a public forum, whether that's GitHub or just in your like company's Slack, whatever it might be. And I think that plays along really well at Sentry because we are an open source company. So by nature, if we're developing a new feature, the developer is learning in public with the community, and the company is also shipping a new feature or product, and they're learning in public. So how do you feel about that so far with your experience at Sentry, working in open source and learning in public, let's say?
I mean, I currently feel awful because of this, but
I took a lot of pride in that.
yeah, okay, thank you. I'm happy for you. So, just give me a second. So, I think one of the best things about learning in public is, as with anything else that happens in public, like if you write blog posts, if you do it, on your own, chances are the feedback you will get is like way smaller because it's isolated. If you write, I don't know, like on social media, you're instantly there for people. You will get something that they will tell you, okay, this is beautiful, this is terrible. Same is with open source. So we have this wonderful opportunity for people to see our work early, to give us comment, to give us feedback, and to tell us whether we are right or wrong, whether we are, going in the right direction, whether they like it, whether they will use it. And this also gives us opportunity that in case what we are doing is not the right thing, we can fail, fast, so we don't need to go until, and spend months working on something, then presenting to people, and then they're like, we don't really need it, right? So they see it from the very get-go, and this is the cool thing.
Yeah, I think that's like an important fact right there. Right? That you fail fast, you deliver fast, you learn a lot more. It's also a learning opportunity for people in the open source community. So like one great way to get into the industry, we're open source. Guess what? Like we're really happy if you open a PR. Like we love it.
Yeah.
So you can just get in. If you make a mistake, guess what? We make mistakes all the time. Some of us more than others. We're not pointing fingers.
You see our mistakes.
Yeah, you can go check it out yourself.
We are not ashamed.
Go to the GitHub repos, check it out, contribute. We love to have you there. And it's a great way to get involved. But so now we move on to the final hot wing. The hottest of the sauces.
Okay.
Maybe not the hottest question.
Should we add more or not?
Yeah, you're right. So the tradition from the show is that this is called the last dab. And you put a little bit on there. And again, like, I don't know why I had the idea to do this show. This was really so dumb.
A little.
Nope, sorry. Just take a little bite.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So, this is called the last dab. You ready?
I'm not.
This is the end of the pain. Well, to be honest, it's not the end of the pain. This will last for many hours.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And,
we're in it together, man.
I know, Steven.
It's okay.
Going for it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, based on your experience working... Based on your experiences working at Sentry, I'm really feeling it too. How would you best say that someone can find success at Sentry? So if you've already joined, you're here, you're a young engineer, or you're in the middle, or maybe you're an engineering manager, how do you recommend to find success here?
It's a good question. So, I think, let me think about it. It's super hard to think.
Think about how much pain you're in and answer that question.
That's the thing, because I think only about the pain, not about the answer.
I think I have to finally go for the water.
Okay. So overall, Sentry enables success. So you don't have to move mountains in order to get success. So we have lots of benefits that enable success. Like for example, continuous improvement benefit, which allows everybody to participate in conferences, buy trainings or whatever. Wellness benefit, to help you with like your physical or mental health. These things together, this already enables like a big chunk of your success.
And the cool part of those as well is it's not just about improving your skills as an IT developer, it's also like just improving your well-being and quality of life, right? So if you want to take if you want to take a pottery course, we're all about it. Like, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, for example, many people would take here in Austria a German course or English course, to get better. But like, we as company can do, only as much, right? So, this is why, again, interviewing people and making sure already in interviews that they have this growth mindset. They have this willing to, move things, and like they are proactive in there, and they own their own learning. This is the second missing piece of the puzzle that, together with all these benefits, actually enables people to grow, right? So I think that one of the best things you can do when you join Sentry is just to try to meet as many people as you can, because people are generally wonderful. I love so far everyone here.
Almost.
I love you less because of this thing which you have done to me, but I still do. So yeah, I think just meet as many people as you can and try to talk to them and talk to them about what are your interests, what are the things, how you see yourself here. And in a matter of a couple of weeks or months, you will find the perfect spot, etc. I'm definitely sure of that.
Cool, thank you. Then I think that's also like a good summary of a lot of the points you've made today, which are like a lot of times what you say, you see your role at Sentry is like facilitating opportunities for people so they can grow, and the beautiful flowers in the right soil. And then like you say, when we're hiring people, we just look for people who are willing to try, right?
Yes.
So we try to facilitate these opportunities, and we try to find people that are willing to take advantage, and that's how you find the most success.
There you go.
And then you get enough of those right people around, you out there come join us, we can have a really successful company. So Vladan, thank you for joining me. I'm
thank
not
you
sorry that I
for
put you
joining
through
me.
this. I would totally do it again and hope that I can trick someone else into doing it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thank you. And
Thank
again,
you.
reach out. We love PRs. Bring them on. And if you see anything on the job posting website, let us know.
We're hiring.
Love to hear from you. Yes.
Bye.